This is Don Saladino coming to you from Muscle and Fitness Reps in AMI location, and my co-host Zack Zeigler. You know, I'm listening to a couple today talk to a friend of mine about Pilates.
Okay.
And they're talking about, oh, fix my back, and I like doing this more from a rehab standpoint. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, I have nothing against Pilates. I think Pilates is great, and I think depending on your goal, it could be a valuable tool. But I'm thinking, but Pilates is very movement based. The thing I do like about it is that you get on a reformer or a mat, whatever it might be, and you move, and you're, challenging the body in a very safe. I think the coaches I've been exposed to have been very safe, very knowledgeable, and yeah, I think you leave there feeling good. And so is it the Pilates that's really, working on correcting that person, or is it just the movement in general? Is it the fact that, they had a bad back, they went in there, their back's achy, and they went in there and they moved for an hour in a capacity that they never did? Maybe it opened their hips up, maybe it opened their thoracic spine up, maybe it worked them in a capacity that suddenly, now, but my point is suddenly they're like, Pilates.
Right.
Was it the Pilates, or is it more of the just moving
just
around?
The fact that they're moving more and they're getting out and just trying to
and I know for a fact
exercise.
a lot more times it's that. What's your thoughts?
I don't know. Because as I started to I know what you're saying. So like they think that the one thing that they started to do something, so that thing is automatically this cure all. Like, oh well, it has to be Pilates. But the fact is, it could have just been the fact that they're moving and the fact that they're doing more than they were doing before. Zach,
I became a vegan 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, I became a vegan. I gave up all animal protein. Great. What else did you give up? Well, how were you eating 3 weeks ago? How were you eating 4 weeks ago? Well, I was drinking 5 nights a week, and I was eating McDonald's, and I was doing this, and I was doing that. And then suddenly I stopped all that, and I just started eating fruits and vegetables, and just honestly, like, no more processed foods and no more of this crappy animal protein and boo animal protein. Yeah. It's like, but that's my point. So suddenly someone will jump into something. They have this trigger in their mind where, like, I'm doing something great for my body. Oh my God, mentally I feel amazing. And then, like, most of the vegans I speak to 6 months later, they're like, I'm not feeling so good now. Or like, things aren't really happening. And I'm not here. That's not to bash vegans. It's just to say,
you can if you want.
No, thank you.
I mean, maybe you can do whatever. You're too nice sometimes. I feel like But I do know what you're saying. It's that rather than try to look at things on a whole, it's like they latch on. Some people latch on to the one thing that they think is curing them or whatever of their ailment.
You take someone who's sitting on the couch for 10 years, and you've heard this story. I just would go into my office. I'm tired of feeling like shit. I'm eating crap, and I took up CrossFit, and it changed my life.
Right.
Like, all right. Yeah, they started moving. They started sweating with a group.
Mm-hmm.
They're being encouraged. Yeah. They're part of a team. They're part of a community. Great. And they're feeling great. Is it the CrossFit, or is it them moving? Yeah. And then I think in time we start finding out, well, wait a second. I think in time, if you're doing something and you start breaking down from it, I think the answer is, well, it was movement early on. It was the fact that I may have eliminated specific things, or I may have just gotten off the couch and I felt great. But now the true colors are starting to come out, whether this is really something that I should be exploring, more or less.
Right. And if they like or enjoy the CrossFit or whatever the activity is, it's one thing.
Sure.
Because that's great. Keep doing it. But, as you like to say, there's also a cost to doing business, right?
Yes.
So if you keep pounding away on yourself, you're going to wear down.
Right.
So
I enjoy hockey.
Yeah.
I enjoy playing hockey. But I also noticed that, I was thinking about this. I had a game Tuesday night, and we are dominant to one side than another. If you were to look at a center or a winger and how many times they're turning to one side of the ice, or it's not always even. So if you're consistently used to, like, pushing off more, or taking your first step on one leg, or carrying a bag on your right shoulder all the time, you're going to develop imbalances.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I enjoy playing hockey. Is it the best thing for my body? Is it the best thing for your hips? I would argue it is. So, but I'm going to continue to do it because I enjoy it.
Is it the best thing for your teeth?
Well, we have no fighting or hitting in our league. So
no?
We're no.
What kind of league is this?
I have a tournament in Nashville next week. I'm going down to play,
really?
I think 4 games. And I think we were all kind of annoyed, the teammates, because like we used to go to Canada to play, and we play Canadians, and anytime you're playing a team from New York, you're like, fuck, come on, really? Like, we're coming to Canada to play Canadians. We don't want to play for a team from New York. I think we're going to National to play in some like Canadian hockey tournament in Nashville, which makes no sense to me. And then we're playing 3 different teams, and one of them's from New York, and it's like, Jesus.
I could just picture you guys being like, okay, timeout, refs. They're hitting.
No,
They're pushing us.
No.
Like,
Basically, what's going to happen
in
is
this league.
that Friday we have 2 games, and we're, that's when I go from like 2 extremes of like right now, like not drinking alcohol and not eating. And then you go away on those trips, you just got to live a little bit.
Right.
Drink some beers and get a good sweat with your friends and shower, and you go out.
See, that's what I did last weekend, except I didn't get any sweat. I went away with one of my oldest friend, my best friend, and there was no sweating at all. But there was a lot of drinking.
What were we drinking?
IPAs, man.
I like IPAs.
Yeah, there was a Williamsport brew. I don't even know the name of it. But it was really good.
That's another thing too. I remember when I first had an IPA, whatever it was, 10 years ago. I can't even remember. I remember having it being like, oh, I don't like it. Like it was bitter, and now I love them.
Yeah,
it's like my winter beer. Like if I go to Vermont or I'm in, like it's IPA over anything.
Yeah,
I just love them.
Reach out via social media, I think,
and say great job.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm also look. I don't really know, so I'm not gonna pretend like I studied up on it. I forgot, so I don't know. Let's just give him the benefit of the doubt. He gave him a high five, a hug. There might have been some thumb wrestling.
I was just curious.
We're trying to figure out like what makes Bev such a special place, in the sense of like there are a few gyms that kind of have that reputation. Like there's Gold's Venice, there's Bev's. There's probably a few others that we're trying to uncover. I think
like that Arsenal. There's one in Colorado, Armbrust.
Oh.
That one's pretty well known. There's a couple of I think Arsenal, like the equipment company. I think what the hell, that one over in Kuwait. That's another one that's producing all bodybuilding. Oxygen.
Yeah.
That one. The thing with Bev's, because I've been training there since I'm 16, 17, is they opened a Lifetime Fitness right across the street from it. Literally, like drive a car across the street.
So what is Lifetime Fitness for those
it's
of
like
us
a
who don't
very
know,
like
me?
Think about it. It's like pool and beautiful gym floor, like all brand new.
Olympic pool or just like a little tiny pool?
It might be an Olympic pool. I don't even know. I think
Regulation?
I don't know.
What's the water temperature?
I don't know. I haven't been there. They have a nice juice bar. They have a nice cafe.
What's the color of the water?
They have nice. It's like a clear.
What's the chlorine consistency?
It's almost like it's like a clearish blue.
Oh.
Like you can see the bottom of the pool.
Ah, how big are the lockers?
I don't know exact size. Stand up.
You're gonna shove me in it. All right, I'm just
steam
curious.
rooms and very steam sauna. Which I go into frequently. No. And my point is I went and I checked it out just to see it. And it just didn't feel right.
Did you go in disguise?
No.
So like they would, if Steve saw you there, he wouldn't like write you off?
Steve wouldn't see me. I mean, I went in with my buddy who, he was training there, but we both were like, no, like we're not leaving. It's a very distinguished clientele at Bev's. It's a bodybuilding clientele. There's a noise, there's a feel, there's a smell to the facility when you walk in.
There sure is.
It's you look at the cardio equipment, it's like everything just gets it done. It just gets, even when you're lifting, like the bars aren't like they're not like these crazy Alico, like no, it's just iron. It's just, even the weights, like the plates, I'd say 45, they really weigh 48 or 49 pounds. They're like 3 to 4 pounds heavier. The plates there, the Intech plates. There's just things about it that are just makes Bev's. I don't know if that continues without Steve and without those bodybuilders.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I don't think he plans to
I don't think so.
Leave anytime soon. But that's something that he mentioned too, that it's built for functionality. Everything's bundled together. So if there's different machines and different pieces of equipment,
there's stuff in there that they don't even use, and he won't get rid of. I always Derek and I were making a joke of it the other day. We're like, oh man, he can start replacing, but I think it's part of the culture of that place.
It's funny because you mentioned that the place has a smell. It's a smell that reminds me of a gym that I used to go to when I was a kid, and the place didn't have any AC or anything like that, and I loved it. And I think it's just a warehouse now. It's vacant, but like it does remind me of that. and it's definitely distinct. Like it's something that somebody who trains at a Lifetime or an Equinox would walk in and be like, "Oh my God, like what the hell?"
I can't train at an Equinox,
No.
and that's not like I've walked into a couple in the past. I used to work at one back in '99, but I walk into one and it's just it's just not the culture I like being in. It's not. I'm not in the gym to try and pick up women. I'm not in the gym to, I don't know. It just gets very busy. It doesn't, I feel like it doesn't get as much about the training. People there aren't like, I like to be around people who are training hard.
Right.
Not about like, oh, I'm going to throw my headphones on and just run around and like sweat. Like, it's just not, I don't like being in that environment. And I'm starting to find that there's less and less places, especially with the boutique gyms opening up right now. They're all kind of factories in the sense of they're like 45 minutes in and out, and they're just like turning them and burning them type of thing. And like you don't see gyms like Bev's anymore. A place I used to work out in the city called Steel, which is up on 23rd Street between 6th and 7th, I think. This was an underground like dungeon. There were no windows, and you used to walk in, and it's where
I think I was there once.
It's where the new Rumble is. But you would go there and you'd get downstairs, and me and my training partner, it'd feel like church. You're just like, it was you and them and him, and it was me and him, and we just got after it. It just was a good feeling.
See, it's funny you say that, because when you say it feels like church, it makes me want to leave, because I don't like church. I don't go to church.
I meant it was a very spiritual. It was a very like.
Yeah, no, I'm kidding.
You get a connection with the spaces. It was a bad joke. I'm trying to ignore it. It was terrible.
No, it wasn't a bad joke. It was quasi serious. Because we were talking about religion before the cameras were on, and I was saying how it's awesome. How organized religions are real cool. Anyway.
All right, let's move on.
So,
terrible. You can cut that if you want.
No, keep it in. No, I don't care. I don't give a shit. So, that actually does, talking about the way you feel about Equinox, Planet Fitness is offering teens, I guess, the opportunity to train free all summer. I think it's like 15 to 18 or something like that, and like also some old people.
You can't say that. You can.
Or geriatrics.
Yeah.
So
you can't say old people.
All right. So some crusty old barnacles. Oh my God. What? What do they get out of this? Is it just publicity? Like they're offering scholarships with it too. I think up to like $30K they're giving away. Like why do this?
Well, first off, how much are the memberships?
I don't know, $10.
The $10. Okay, so what's it? It's costing them $30. It doesn't cost them any money. I think they're collecting an email address, and they're getting a potential. And
an info capture?
I think what they'll do is they'll get these kids in for this summer. They'll do the promotion. And they'll have those contacts, and the next summer they'll, give them an offer. Listen, $20 for the summer, and they'll leverage it and make some money. Who knows? I don't know if is the company doing well or not. I have no idea. Like I wouldn't. Would I train there if it's the only place I can go to? Probably not, because God, I'd be too freaking panicked about like grunting.
Yeah.
There's some guy gonna come at me during mid-set or mid-rep and hit me in the head with a bat because I suddenly made a noise.
I think that's the way it works. I used to be a member there.
I wouldn't join that.
It's all I could afford back in like the early 2000s. It was a lot of fun.
Did you have a good time there?
No. It was terrible. It was always crowded. It was so bad. I had to drive there, and the parking lot, no matter what time of day, was always crowded. The equipment was always crowded. Just everything was just the shits.
The shits. You can't say that on the podcast.
Excuse me.
All right. Are you done?
I bought a weighted blanket.
You bought a weighted blanket?
Yeah.
For what?
It was suggested to me.
Is it helping?
I don't know. I've used it once, and I didn't sweat because I bought a cooling one. But I was suggested to get it to me to help sleep because I'm having a horrible time sleeping. I thought it was a problem only because it's gone on for like the last 3 or 4 years. So I needed to do something. And
what are they claiming the weighted blankets do, though?
It can help reduce like anxiety and maybe I don't know if it's going to work. I actually was looking up some studies on it. It's not like it's overwhelming evidence that it's going to work, but I figured it's worth a shot. It's not good for kids because I guess like a 20-pound blanket on some like younger kids guess it weighs them down. But I'm like half a man, so for
Do you
me,
feel like it improved your sleep? When did you try it last night?
last night I did feel pretty good with it actually.
Can you read something? I see you have something there about it.
Well, it was actually I was reading it before you got here and just how they work, but it really didn't get too much into it. It was actually the same study. It was citing the same study that I looked at yesterday about it, so it didn't really tell me too much.
I'm going to do some research on it.
Yeah, but here's the thing. It's like I don't want to take any OTC pills. I don't want to take any prescription pills. I'm trying the mushroom drink from Mushroom Man.
How do you like it?
It's fine. It's fine. I don't know if it's
Oh,
working.
not the mushroom
The
from...
Four Sigmatic. Yeah, I'm trying it.
Which one are you using? Are you using the...
The sleepy one? I don't know what it's called.
it's a light blue case. It's a light blue, not the chaga.
Yeah.
Not the chaga. The chaga's green.
Yeah, but you're on it. It's like
Rishi.
It's a brown one it's like a brown
Rishi.
package with it. Yeah.
Rishi.
And I'm also, I'll try some magnesium. I'll try whatever at this point.
I like magnesium.
But like, I'm just trying to.
How late are you having caffeine in the day?
Not late at all, man.
Past 1?
No.
Not at all past 1.
No.
You're not having any diet soda or anything in the afternoon, evening? Nothing?
I don't drink diet soda.
I'm just asking.
How dare you? No, I don't drink diet soda.
Okay, I was just asking. I don't know.
Maybe maybe a tab here and there. No.
Are you having any bang?
No, I don't. It's really no, I don't. I have coffee in the morning, but I only have like 75 ounces at like 8. No, I don't. It's honestly, it's there's a lot that goes into it. Like I've been actively pursuing what the fuck is going on with like why I can't relax. It's a bigger problem.
Are you on your computer late?
No.
Any meditation are you doing? Are you anything?
No, I mean
bright light, from your iPad, anything, computer.
Well,
nothing.
yeah, there's definitely the blue light from my phone is definitely an issue.
Have you thought about doing those?
I've got a pair, and I feel like a shithead every time I put them on, but I wear them sometimes, and even my wife is like, "Don't touch me."
You should throw them on when you.
Well,
guys
that's
are
even
about
when
to
I'm
go
not
out.
wearing them. That's the whole problem.
You should put them on when you guys are back in, if you're back in baby making mode or some.
Soon.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Throw the blue lights on, man. It might turn her on.
I'll bring them in sometime, and you can see how cool I look.
We can play video games with them on. I'm curious to hear about that blanket, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't think it's some miracle for me, but it's worth a shot, and I'll try anything at this point. I run hot, so I guess my wife calls me the furnace. So it's like, it's definitely something different. So I got the one that cools, but I got to try something, dude,
right.
Because I am trying to do. I'm trying to get back into meditation more. I know the word "I'm trying" is kind of a cop out and some bullshit because either I'm going to do it or don't. But a lot of times, I've said it probably a billion times. I don't know how many times I've said it on camera, how many times it's made it in. I can't watch these fucking things over and over again. No, just kidding. But
that was funny.
It's like I do stay up a lot to ideate. I do take a lot of I'm always trying to draft up stuff that we can cover, stuff that we can do. I'm also trying to keep up with things that we're currently doing, not just through video, but stuff we're doing for magazine, through
One
digital.
thing that I'm finding is that people really have to shut down a couple hours before sleep.
It's difficult for me to do that.
I know, but I think you should start trying to put the phone down, put the computer down, and then for 2 hours before bed, hanging with your wife, eat some food, play, just make that the time, 2 hours. Just say, listen, I'm done, and hanging up and just try and get into a calmer setting, turn the lights down, Yeah,
I definitely do that. I definitely enjoy the time I spend with my kid and my wife, but it's not as easy as you think of just calming down or turning it off. It doesn't work that way.
I get it.
And so it just doesn't work. I'm very, very fidgety. I can't even really watch TV that well. I can sometimes, but I'll be just watching something with my wife, just relaxing, and then I'll find myself getting up, and all of a sudden I'll be cleaning, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I cleaning? And she'll be like, wait a minute, why are you cleaning?
Yeah, no, you can't sit still.
It's oh yeah.
You gotta start. You gotta start training yourself a little bit. You just gotta start shutting down.
Yeah,
it's tough. That's the one advantage of me taking a train home is that I'm able to really just clear out a lot of my emails, or coming into work, I can really just take care of a lot of my emails or writing or work or something I have. So I have a good hour after work. Do you drive in and out? You take the train or bus or something? What do you do?
Take the path to Grove Street, which is like 2 stops. So it's like I'm on the train for 2 minutes.
Oh, so you don't have a big commute.
No, but we do drive from there a whole like 12 minutes because we have to pick up Olive at daycare.
Right. Yeah, but that's not going to work. You've got to well, you leave here pretty late, don't you?
Not anymore. I'm efficient.
I would just, when you leave here, you just got to put it down.
Doesn't work that way.
I get it. Well, then just don't sleep. I mean, whatever.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going for.
Fine by me.
It's like 8 hours. Who needs it? I'm thinking 8 minutes. 8-minute man.
It does catch up on you.
Wouldn't be the first time. When you were a kid, did you bring lunch or did you buy lunch?
I bought more lunch. I was a finicky eater when I was a kid. What were you?
I bought lunch, and I had terrible, terrible lunches. At high school, I would get a bagel, and I would pop a hole in the bagel, and I would dump a bunch of salt in there because I loved salt bagels, and I would shake it up, and then I would eat it.
Bagels do have a hole in it. What are you talking about?
No, but it was wrapped in like plastic or whatever. So
that sounds disgusting.
I would make a salt bagel. Yeah. It's also like, that's the way I did it. And it was terrible for me. And that's what I would eat. And, but so, are you happy now that kids are eating more sugar, more refined grains, and more salt than they were a couple years ago? Yeah, than they were just even a couple years ago.
Is that what the statistic is? Why? Why is it going in that direction?
Because the current administration rolled back the previous administration's rules on school lunches. And so a bunch of states, including the state of New York, are suing because they're like, that's no good. Does that make you happy?
It doesn't make me happy. I don't understand why we're going. We know these answers.
Does it makes you sad?
Yeah.
Makes me sad too.
No, but we know the answers to this stuff. It's like, it's unbelievable how we could still. I mean, think about this. Put money aside. Cigarettes kill you. Mm-hmm. Okay. High fructose corn syrup is terrible for you. But it's just it's like there's the right thing in life. Like there's just certain things. White sugar is not good for you. It's just, but we continue to dump it into our foods.
Right. And
the only answer I get is, well, think about all the people that you'd have to lay off that are employed. Like, what do you want me to say? Like, okay, so it's okay. So you're basically saying it's okay to do the wrong thing because of money.
Yeah.
And, for me, I don't really, even a few years ago, I remember when I looked at a Chevy Tahoe. I walked into the dealership and they're like, oh, we have hybrids now. Hybrid Tahoe. I was like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I'd buy a hybrid, but I started thinking about it, like, wait, great for the environment. I wonder what, I wanted to find out more about it. So I go over there, I start looking, I realized that the vehicle was like $15,000, $20,000 more money. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and I laughed. I'm like, man, right at a point where you'd think you'd be incentivized to be able to do something good for the environment, you're being penalized. So they're telling you, no, we're going to charge you more money. And say what you want to say, like, oh, well, the battery or whatever. Make up any line of shit you want. I don't get it. I don't get it. And right now, we know we have a lot of these answers. We can be taking a step in the right direction, yet we don't because of one word: money. You can keep that. Money.
Yeah, that's no, you're right. I don't know. When I read that, I was like, what? I don't know. I guess I wasn't surprised about reading it. I mean,
why do we have to use high fructose corn syrup? We know it's one of the most toxic things for our body.
But you just said it. It's cheap.
Right. Money.
Yeah, you said it.
Money, Alexa.
But it's also like, it doesn't surprise me though, because again, and I don't want to get political or anything, but it's like, if things trickle down, at the top of that is a guy who thinks exercise makes him weaker, right? Trump has said that.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
That's wild. That's a wild one.
Yeah. He thinks exercise is like, is no good. So.
Because he's in great shape.
Fantastic shape.
What about a lot of the influencers out there right now who are like anti-vaccine? And I was having a conversation with Chelsea Clinton about this the other day. We were talking about how
I know I'm frustrated. You could take, a house mom who's vegan and suddenly develops a really good online presence, and she's like, no, don't, don't take vaccines. Like, food is medicine. And though I believe in that approach to an extent, there's certain things you have to protect yourself and your kids from. And the fact that we're putting the power in someone's hands that didn't go to medical school or who isn't a scientist, and suddenly they're becoming an influencer. They're influencing people into their decision. And it's a lot of times it's the wrong one. How are we allowing this stuff? Again, this is getting down to social media quality control.
Yeah.
I'm not expecting an answer there. I want your opinion on it, but
it's infuriating. And it also is, there's parents right now suing the state of New York, I think, for basically the right to not vaccinate their kids so they can get other people sick. And it's working because there's measles outbreaks that are happening. I mean,
this is crazy.
Yeah, it's, and when I hear people bring up the whole vaccinating your kids causes autism, I don't know, I want to scream. It's been debunked numerous times. And it's just, it's like, really? Come on.
I grew up being vaccinated as a child.
Me too. It's like, you know what? Give me the more vaccinations, the better. I'll take them all. Like, just keep them coming. Like, I want to be vaccinated. I don't want to get sick. And I definitely don't want, like, measles or anything like that. Like, stuff that should be wiped out, Like, I don't want it. If it's something new and experimental, maybe. Because, like, that's fun. But, like, old shit like that, absolutely not. I don't want it. Yeah, okay. No, dude, it sucks. And I don't know. But it's also like, what does it say about the people that are buying into it too?
I think this also gets into the conversation we had a few weeks ago that I think I think the viewer just doesn't know. It's not their job. Sorry. It's not their job to know. It's not their job to understand who's like, this is marketing, man.
Yeah.
That's all this is. We're in a world right now where marketing trumps. You can have a terrible product out there and you can make millions. I know some of the smartest coaches who can write the most detailed programs, and not one person would go talk to them if they saw them on a beach.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think this is society's fault. I think we got to smarten up. People got to smarten up out there. They got to start really doing their research and their due diligence on who are you listening to? What is their background? You have a woman right now telling you not to get any vaccinations.
Yeah.
What is her background?
I don't know if I have faith in that though, dude. And maybe that's just saying maybe you have more faith in
it'll
people
never
than
happen,
I do.
but I'm just saying that's kind of what needs to happen.
It does, but I just don't see it. I mean, we have people now that aren't even really educating themselves on what's going on regarding their everyday life, or like what's going on in terms of like our, how to participate in democracy. We can't even get people to vote, or we're getting people to vote against their own interests. Mm-hmm. So it just getting them to pay attention, and this is as simple as looking at a phone and then going to another app on their phone and seeing if what they just heard was right, and that's too much. So I don't know, man. I think you just depressed me.
Sorry. Let's change topics. Let's go back to fitness. It's kind of health. I mean, it is health and wellness.
But I got it is, and I also have my weighted blanket now. So
it is health and wellness, and I would almost like to bring a politician on one day to discuss their viewpoints on it, or get their 2 cents on it.
I think we should bring in. I'd love to speak with somebody from both sides of it.
Yeah.
Like, try to convince me that I'm wrong, and that, like, when we take her to get vaccinations, I don't love it because she screams really loud.
No, it sucks. It sucks watching your kids go through that.
Yeah, she hates shots. But it's like, I'd rather go through that than the weeks or months or whatever it would take to cure her of some of those terrible diseases.
It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Did you have chickenpox?
I did.
Me too.
Yeah, I had. I
don't remember it.
I do remember having it. I just don't remember what age.
So what? So what is it? It's just like it's just a rash that like you scratch.
Yeah, you can actually pick them off. A buddy of mine picked them off. It was terrible. He has bad scars to this day because of it.
So okay, where did the chicken come into it?
Dude, don't ask me this question right now.
Let's bring an expert on to discuss chicken pox. We could just do an episode on chicken pox. That'll sell really well.
Sounds boring.
Chicken pox. We'll talk about sexually transmitted diseases. That's a little more fun.
Through chicken pox or just? I don't know. Like, is there
That's
some sort
gross.
of pus? Like,
Oh,
no?
oh,
Too far?
oh.
Sorry. Do you believe this? From USA Today. Headline is many kids in the U.S. never drink plain water, study finds. From the University of Pennsylvania, between 2011 and 2016, about 8,500 children between ages 2 and 19. They defined water as plain tap water, bottled water, and most people drank sugary drinks, diet soda, sweetened fruit juice, blah, 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 blah. Well, I think that's it. I kind of skimmed it. But
When I was a young kid, I mean, I would never go. I mean, I'm impressed with my children because when they go to restaurants and stuff, they're like, sometimes they're just like, I'll have water.
yeah, but look who.
But when I was a kid, no, but they'll order it. Like if they want to order a Sprite, we let them order a Sprite. Shirley Temple, we order Shirley Temple. Sometimes they ask for it, but
Shirley Temple?
yeah, it's grenadine in Sprite with a cherry in it. It's like a red sodary drink. But no, they'll just automatically order water. I very rarely growing up, like I'd go to a restaurant as a kid, I order a Coke.
Yeah.
Like always, like 10 out of 10.
Coke Classic?
I like Coke Classic when it came. I remember the little glass bottles with the Christmas edition bottles with the pop tops on them. I like those. But I used to, growing up, I can't tell you how much Coca-Cola I drank. Now I haven't had a Coca-Cola in a decade, you know?
Yeah.
Last time I had it might have been with some rum when I was on vacation.
I totally picture you being like, yeah, go ahead, have a Sprite. And then they're drinking it, and the whole time you're just like,
No, I can't do it.
Like,
I can't do it.
Sprite? You like that sugary Sprite?
I can't do it.
No.
No, I don't want to be like the food Nazi with them. I'm going to give them an eating disorder. Like I let them, we teach them how to make good choices, and when they want pizza or burgers, we'll take them. But like all in all, like they eat good quality food.
Right.
But I'm not sitting there like, all right, we're weighing your food out.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Like
they're like, okay, a Sprite, and you're like, okay, so let's make some appointments at the dentist next week. No, doesn't happen like that.
No. My kids got a couple of cavities, and I think they got freaked out. They realized it was from like drinking orange juice, and you know, they like ate the enamel of their teeth, and they were like, all right, I'm not drinking. Like we removed orange juice from the house, and so they mainly just drink water. But they understand the importance of it. It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, dental hygiene is important.
Oh yeah. Do you floss?
Yeah, but I know I use the brushes.
Oh.
Yeah, I like them better than flossing.
I should try. I use the old school floss.
I don't like it.
It's like tough. It's like
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I have very sensitive teeth. Like I have to get my mouth numb when I go for a cleaning.
Really? Pussy.
That's right. I am.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Don't ever admit that to anyone.
Okay.
It's okay. Next question.
I won't. Okay. You go ahead. You go for it.
What with the question?
Yeah.
You get a shave?
Why would I?
Because I did.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about anything besides. Well, what was your? Can I see your papers that you had down there?
Oh, see all the research that we put in. What about?
Oh yeah, all that research. What is that fucking? What is the research? That's for the post.
It's from the last 3 days of us kicking around topics.
I'll definitely jump into some topics.
Please, the floor is yours.
Salt. Sodium.
What about it?
Probably the best natural rehydrant. Pink salt, Celtic salt. I was on a conversation with someone this morning. People are so freaked out about salt in their diet.
They are.
Right? And they're drinking sugary drinks thinking that it's going to act as a natural rehydrant. But one of the best little secrets is if you take a pinch of pink Himalayan salt and throw it in your water. So 1 liter of water, pinch of pink Himalayan salt, which was just in here. Shake it up and drink that. And I do that once a day, and I actually add pink salt to my food to taste. So almost every meal, I keep a thing of salt at work. I keep a thing of salt at home, and I add it. And it doesn't cause you to get that subcutaneous water retention, like when you pick your shirt up after having like a Chinese meal. You're smooth and you can't see your abs. It actually does help with muscle fullness. It does help with the pump and contracting the muscle. And a lot of times when we remove too much sodium or we try and go too clean from sodium, it can actually work in the reverse direction. Which is why when you go have cheat meals, it normally, you know, if you're eating clean, it hits really good because of the additional salt that you're pulling into your body, and suddenly you get this really tight, this muscle pump type feeling. But I think learning to manipulate your sodium for a lot of people out there who are training is something that I think they'll find is really interesting for not only rehydrating the body, but recovery.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people just in their diet
No
maybe
salt.
not-
No salt. I remove salt.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
like,
one of the first things that they're gonna. A lot of people that I know that they do. They look at salt, they look at fat, they look at sugar, and they're like, oh, there's too much salt.
I say sugar. I say processed sugar, and I'll say table salt, but I'll say continue to use, because what'll happen is like in a few days of drinking water, like you just start flushing all the bad salt out of the body and all the crap out of the body. But at a certain point, this is why you hear a lot of bodybuilders getting flat. I mean, it could be the lack of carbs. It could be the lack of salt from them just eating so dry and so clean. There's no sodium, and you just sweat so much. So the more you sweat, you got to replenish those trace minerals.
Yeah.
So it's a really good tool, and I think it's something that a lot of people, you don't see a lot of people adding. I mean, I'll carry it to restaurants sometimes and like throw it on my food. Or,
No, you don't. You definitely don't. I mean, but it's also, again, we tend to live in this bubble, right? Because this is something that this has been your life. This is something that I'm constantly around too. So
Sure.
it's not weird for me to hear that you do that. But for somebody else, or like, they would be like, wait, what? You bring your own salt? They
I
have
want to get
salt.
leaner. I want to get leaner.
Yeah.
I want to lose something.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't work that way. It's different.
And it's funny because they'll be like, oh, well, that's just got too much fat, and like, or avocado, can't eat, that's too much fat. They're just equating a lot of these things that don't add up. But yet, it's weird that you bring your own salt. I don't know. It's funny to me. That's why I never really talked to people about that. Even this weekend when I was away, I didn't talk to anybody about like when they would ask. I really just brushed it off. I didn't want to talk about it. It felt like work.
right.
Didn't
right.
talk about diet. Didn't talk about.
Yeah, no, you got to
training.
remove.
Didn't talk about it.
Mike Boyle the other day was talking about social media cleansing, which I thought was it was a cool topic, and
Yeah.
he was like, I just took the last 10 days off of social media, and he really dove into it the last year or two, and he's got a great social media channel because he's an incredibly smart strength coach, and he'll sit there and he'll discuss topics.
Yeah, I
and
watch him on Stack. He did some stuff with Stack.
really
on
cool,
YouTube a lot.
really,
Yeah,
really,
very
really,
good.
really, and really great guy. But he said that he took 10 days off of social media, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds awesome. Just a kind of social media cleanse. But yeah, no, I mean, listen, we're all presented this new information and this new research. Salt being one of them. I think it's a big misconception over the last several decades on how it's bad. I just think it's the right type, it's the right amount.
But it's right there, the right amount.
But
It's in everything. But that's the thing. It's like it's in everything because it helps taste.
Right.
And that's the thing. People, especially because a lot of people buy things in packages because it's easier.
Right.
So they're getting a lot of salt and a lot of sugar that they wouldn't have had before, or if they cooked at home.
right.
So.
Well, that's getting into my next conversation. You said the right amount. So I've been getting asked a lot of questions about macros.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so people will be like, how many macros should I have? And I'm like figuring out macros, you can do, I mean, and I've seen specific coaches present like formulas like, oh, there's ranges. Like for muscle gain, you should be doing 1 gram to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. I'm like, wow, that's a big of protein. I'm like, that's a big difference. That's like for a 200-pound male, that's between 200 and 250 grams of protein. Like that's a big difference. And you're doing that with fat or you're doing that with carbohydrates, big difference. And even on my digital platform, well, I need to know my macros. When I need to figure someone else's macros out, it normally takes me about a 2-week process because I'll come in with an assumption of where I think their macros. I'll look at their diet. They'll lay out on paper what they're eating. I'll look at their body type. I'll look at their training. I'll look at their stress levels, and then I will develop a guesstimate on where I think they should belong, those macros. And then I'm like, you need to be really strict for 2 weeks because I have to see how your body's going to adapt. Now, changing the diet and changing the training at the same time, that could be a really difficult thing. A lot of times people are, I'm giving you the diet, I'm giving you the training program. And I'm like, well, wait a second. Maybe the training program without the diet would have been enough to get you to where you need to get to. Like, I want to find out of it. So what I'll do is I'll normally train, if I have time, change one or the other, see how the body does in that period of time, and then implement some. So it might be like, listen, I'm giving you let's change the diet up and let's see, like the other day, let's change the diet up. Let's leave the training for the next 2 weeks and just see how your training's affecting your body. Let's see. And then they make the diet change and suddenly like, oh my God, I lost 10 pounds.
I feel great. Like inflammation's down. I'm out. Great. These are things I need to know. And we will eventually change the training up, but let's just see where the diet is. So yeah, it's a process, yet people want those answers immediately. And what I'm finding is for anyone who's going to give that answer immediately, like here is the program, like this is, how do you know? Like, yeah, okay, maybe 3 out of 10 times you can hit the nail on the head and you can, all right, like I've done diets from 10 years ago where I've done them and I've looked great from them and I'm like, oh my God, that worked. But long term, it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So I think it's the same thing. I think a lot of the answers that people want aren't what we can give them. And the answer really is, it depends. And we need some time to figure it out. Yeah, people want things immediately at their fingertips. Like with salt. Which is why I went into that topic. It's like, how much salt do you need? I don't know how much you're sweating. I don't know how active you are. I don't know, like, are you preparing your food or are you eating out at night? And if you're eating out at night, how much salt is in those meals? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
it'd be cool if you did like a slumber party with somebody for a couple days to figure all that stuff out.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this episode of Reps. I'm Don Saladino. You want me to help you with the name? And that is Zack Zeigler. And until next time, great job today, bro. Out.